Welcome back to the Growth Catalyst podcast. In this episode, I am joined by Sasha Lamachenka. She's a consultant and founder of the app Anticipate. Sasha talked openly about what it takes to truly be authentically you in the workplace, especially when that workplace, the usual system, is stacked against you. It's not working with you and your strengths. Her bravery has allowed Sasha to understand who she is, what she wants to achieve, and to focus on her strengths. Actually, some of us only aspire to reach that level of personal insight. But she's taken all of her experience, her strengths, and she's now launched an app, an idea born out of personal need. Sasha is incredibly brave, an honest and incredible communicator. English is not her mother tongue, and yet at the very heart of what she does is all communication. There is so much to learn in this episode and why being yourself in the workplace is so important. Okay, today's episode of The Growth Catalyst, I'm talking to Sasha Lamachenka, who is the founder of the app Anticipate. I am a big fan, so full disclosure, I'm a big fan of the app, and we've been sort of discussing the benefits of that app, and we'll dig into that in a moment. But Sasha, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me here. Exciting.
So tell me about your story. How on earth have you ended up founding an app?
Oh, this is such a good question. It's been a long journey. I'm 33 right now. I live in the United Kingdom, but I started working with startups when I was just 20 years old, and I was living in Minsk in Belarus. And there were a couple of projects that I was helping back then, such as GunPro, project management software, and content scheduling software. And I was working with Split Metrics, which is an A/B testing platform for companies. And startups was very bustling, exciting world to be in, and there is so much impact that you could bring to the world by doing something yourself, by crafting something yourself that no one have ever done before, or done in a little bit different manner. So it's kind of like an art, it's self-expression, and I loved it a lot. And after I worked with startups, I was invited to join Skyscanner, and they brought me to the UK. And it was a completely different scene. It was not a small startup, a scrappy one, where there would be 5.5 people working and doing everything all at once, but rather it was a rather large scale-up company. I think 1,500 people when I joined. And it was completely different because I had my own area that I was owning, and I was focusing on app growth. And I remember I still, it's not that I was missing the startup vibe, but I think when I joined Skyscanner, I started realizing that working at a smaller company is where I belong. That's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy ownership. I enjoy building things with my hands, and not so much climbing a career ladder as a manager. I don't remember that back then it was really hard for me to accept this fact, because I thought that, what actually what I want to be a head of growth or a director of growth or something like this. And it was an internal battle that I had inside, like, because I felt like where I excel is being a great individual contributor, a builder, a creator, but what the world was telling me what I want is being, a manager, a director at a scale up company. So it was an interesting period where I had this, uh, I had this split between who I was and what I enjoy and where I excel, and what the company and the world tells me what I really want. So it was interesting. And after Skyscanner, to follow this path, I went to Depop, which is a fashion application for second hand resale. And I actually doubled down on this path that wasn't for me. And I really, really work hard to get the promotion that I thought I want and I thought that I deserve. And it was a painful ride for me. And eventually I got offered a position of head of marketing technology at Depop, which I had to reject because I actually thought that this is not what I am and where I would excel. Um, and and after that, I actually returned back to being individual contributor. And I started joining companies as a consultant, as a marketing technology consultant who were not um, uh, I, I I I wasn't focusing on, just consulting and providing the advice, but I was the person who actually was joining the teams as a senior individual contributor peer and who was building things together with them, together with engineers, with product managers, with data scientists. Um, and this is where I actually refound myself in a way because I was able to contribute and do really big things at wonderful companies such as Floor Health and Dojo, but at the same time, and bring lots of impact. But at the same time, I was staying true to myself and being a builder, a creator, an great individual contributor. So, and finally, the end of this journey is right now. I'm actually building something myself. And I feel like right now, also, this is the most challenging moment in my life. I haven't been challenged like this since the beginning of my career. But I think that this is the most rewarding moment. This is who I am right now. And to summarize, I went on this journey from being a creator at a startup to a person who wants to be a manager and climb the career ladder, to the person who climbed the career ladder, and then the person who realized that actually it's not for her and joined other great companies as senior individual contributor, and finally became an ultimate individual contributor in my own project. So that's how I ended up building a startup.
That is an amazing story. And the words that spring out to me are bravery. You are obviously an incredibly brave person that you've gone on. I mean, first of all, you've moved countries. You've then changed jobs, changed directions. You've pivoted. You've realised what doesn't work for you, and you've taken action. You've found that inner insight, and you've taken action against what the world's rhetoric around you is telling you to be successful. You have to climb the ladder. You have to have a team that you are managing, that you are leading and directing, and yet you realize that actually quite early on, you're sort of, very early 30s. That's a very insightful thing to realize about yourself. Was there a moment, was there a specific moment where you went, this is not for me, or was it a gradual realization?
I think it wasn't one moment. I think it was neither. It was a series of moments and events that made me realize, you know what, I don't want to do it. I don't want to climb a career ladder. I can do this, and I've got kind of validation that if I want, the door is open. But um, the series of events, it was, you know, change in the requirements for myself and what I'm expected to do. My core strengths are problem solving, gathering context, getting people on one page, digging into details. I'm very analytical. So digging through data, finding the answers, building solutions that other people haven't thought about or didn't have capacity or expertise to solve. These are my strengths. The asks that I had for myself and the companies had for me, if I am to progress in a career to the higher levels, where communication and kind of building large teams and getting very good in the best sense possible in politics, and the asks that are there when you are individual contributor, they were aligned deeply with my core strengths, but the asks that were there, um, uh, but the asks I had, if I'm to go to the next levels of my career, I wasn't just aligned. They weren't aligned with my strengths at all. And for this reason, I felt everyday struggle to work outside of my strengths. Um, I did Clifton strengths analysis once, and you can actually see communication is on the, it's the last point on the list. It's not my strengths at all. And this is the first expectation that you would have of someone in a position of VP, director of marketing, chief marketing officer, chief growth officer. So for this reason, I felt like I feel much more comfortable staying as individual contributor, and I can do much more being a great, excellent individual contributor rather than climbing this ladder.
Yeah. Again, I hope you don't mind me sort of digging further into this, but just having that insight about yourself is so incredibly powerful and must be so liberating.
Yeah.
How did the people around you inside of your organization, when you had this realization, did you turn to someone? Did you turn to someone who was one of your leaders or into HR and say, I don't want to manage people. I want to really focus down on being an expert. Did you have that conversation, or did you just decide that actually in order to do that, you need to go and consult with other organizations? What did that journey look like for you?
It's an interesting question. I do think that I had the level of self-awareness to have this conversation with my manager and with HR. So it was something different. It was, I really wanted to get promoted, and I was vocal about it. And the company was fairly saying that you're not ready, and here are improvements that you can do to get the promotion. And I was so upset at this moment, and I thought that, what, I'm excelling as individual contributor. Like, how is it possible? I need to do more to get this promotion. And I felt like I was very upset, but I didn't have self-awareness at this point to understand why I am not enough for this. And after that, my manager, she's amazing, and she created a very clear career progression plan for me. And we worked on this together, and there were coaching sessions, and there were very clear steps that I need to take with my team, and how I need to improve myself to to become the leader. And I did all of this. I completed the whole list. I completed all the trainings. I understood where my weaknesses are and how I can improve them. But again, like, this period, it was such a stretch for me, and I felt completely miserable doing all that. And that's when I realized that, you know what, maybe it's not for me. But again, like, my self-awareness, I feel at the time, it wasn't at the point where I was, I could have a strong conversation with an HR department and say that. And again, like this also has to do with this expectation of the society, like if you are promoted, you are successful. And for this reason, kind of even this notion of having the conversation with HR and it would be like, I don't want to manage people. It would be like taking a step back from, this expectation of a society that is imposed on me. So, and for this reason, I didn't have the conversation. I think I silently rejected the offer for promotion and I left the company, which is not my finest moment. And after that, I started consulting. Yeah. So
Okay.
I think
So,
reflecting back right now, I can, talk about it and, understand what and why I was doing back then. But I feel it's been, it took a while to actually analyze and understand my
yeah.
motivations back then.
And just maybe I'm paraphrasing, but it seems like the systems weren't in place to recognize that you were saying my strengths are analytical, really delving deep into the data, really focusing on the problem in hand, not leading a team of people. And whether, eventually you got there yourself, but it sounds like you had to go on probably a very difficult journey, because, as you say, culturally, the corporate world is, well, you are successful because you're promoted into a role, and therefore generally, 99% of the time you're looking after other team members rather than actually really focusing in and kind of doubling down on your expertise and getting the best out of you that way. And I'm a big fan of working with businesses that allow people to work on their strengths. You've used the word weakness. So you went on this journey, you knew what your strengths were, but then we focused in on your weaknesses and you had to try and address those as well. Like that feels like it's so counterintuitive and probably exhausting.
Yeah, it was exhausting. And also like one thing that I wanted to really highlight, you mentioned leading people. I feel like there is such a huge difference. There's an ocean of difference between managing people and leading people. To be a leader, to lead people, you do not have to manage a team of 50. You can be an individual contributor and you can be a leader, and you can be a manager and you can be a horrible leader, like not a leader at all, but someone who just imposes, rules and micromanages everyone. This is, and the team has no trust with. This is not a leader. So, and I feel like the companies, they are merging these two together. So it's kind of like when you're a manager, you're expected to be a leader. And if you're a leader, you're expected to be a manager, which is completely wrong, if I may say.
Yeah,
The word that
yeah.
I'm thinking of is different, but anyway. Um, and yeah, so I thought I would highlight like this is such an important difference, and I know lots of leaders at great companies who are at positions of chief executive officers and VPs and the C-suite, who are not managing a large team, but who are very introverted, who are very analytical, who are very context oriented, but at the same time, like they are playing at their strengths and they recognize where they are not strong at, and after that, they are leading really big, successful organizations. So I feel like answering to the question about kind of working on your weaknesses and trying to fix your weaknesses versus recognizing your strengths and becoming a greater leader using your strengths, I think like this is a very important point to understand, like that there is a big difference, yeah, there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a wonderful articulation of what I see all the time as well. So when you made the leap and you decided to get into consultancy, did you find it lonely, or were you then just really allowing yourself to focus on your strengths? What was that
Yeah.
experience like?
Oh, I felt amazing. I'm very introverted person, so I felt like being a consultant, the companies with whom I was working, um, the way we were working together is that they had a problem and they were inviting me to solve this problem. My first strength is being restorative, so this is where I excel. I see the problem, I try to dig into it, I figure it out, I solve the problem. I am very empathetic person and I'm a relator and I try to establish deep connection with the team. So it's not only me who is solving the problem, but it's also like it's a shared knowledge, it's a shared solution. It's kind of we are solving this problem as a team, and it's not only me who is bringing the solution to light, but the whole team is bringing the solution to light. And my second strength is being a relator. So I'm playing at my strengths again. Another my strengths is context. So what I'm doing, I'm collecting the information. I'm documenting this information very well. Again, so the knowledge is shared. It's not only me who's owning the knowledge and taking the knowledge away with me when I'm moving to another company or my contract ends, but it's rather kind of again like the knowledge is shared and the team can always go back to the documents, read everything that we've done, think about the next steps. And all these consultancy experience, it was playing at my greatest strengths, being relator, being restorative, and collecting as much context as possible. So it didn't feel lonely for me. It felt absolutely amazing. And right now, I'm so proud that the companies that I was consulting, they solved really important problems for their businesses. More than that, they have teams right now. My contract finished, I left the companies, but they have teams who continue working, having all the knowledge and the context that I passed on to them, that and they can build another generation of really great solutions for the company. And and also they have all the documentation in the most beautiful way possible. So I feel like this is what I'm proud of, and this is why I think letting go the consulting, it was, and go into the startup world, back to the startup world, it was really hard because I really felt doing consulting like I'm in my place. So yeah.
Wow. So just trying to, your skills, you're obviously very good at sort of relating with people, identifying the problem, pooling that knowledge together and making sure that everybody is aware of that knowledge. Is there something in there as a consultant, do you have a purpose? Could you summarize your purpose as a consultant with other organizations?
Yeah, I can summarize it in a way that there is a growth team or a marketing leader joining an organization, and they started hearing from all the places that this is broken and this attribution is broken and the marketing team doesn't have data, and the marketing team doesn't have I don't know, customer engagement platform or something like this, and they are basically blocked from doing their job. And then this leader is going to the engineering team or the product engineering team, and they are asking for it, but product engineering team is saying like, we cannot figure out the solution for you. You need to come to us with the requirements and help us understand what you need, and we will provide it to you, but we need to understand what you actually want to achieve with that. Now, what I was continuously finding is that the skill set of a growth marketing manager and the product manager is vastly different. So for the marketing manager to articulate well what they actually need in terms that the engineering team can understand is actually a hard task. So because what they are coming with to the engineering team, they're coming with a solution. Like, we need you to integrate this platform and, do it yesterday. Engineering team is saying, no, this may not be the most optimal way for us to do this. There can be a better way to do this. Like, what are your requirements? What are your expectations? What you want to achieve with it? And the marketing team falls back to, we need you to integrate this platform. So basically, these two teams, they're speaking completely different languages. And then the growth leader brings me in to build a connection between this team. Like, first build a bridge between this team and unblock the marketing, translate what marketing wants into engineering terms, and help the engineering team to kind of understand what exactly marketing is trying to achieve, and maybe manage expectation of marketing team a little, so it's not very solution oriented, but they get the outcome that actually surpasses what they initially expected, right? And first building the bridge, but ideally bringing these two teams together. And so they start speaking the same language. Marketing understands where their communication with the engineering team was falling short, and the engineering team understands how to ask questions better. So marketing understands what exactly they are asking and why. So this is my role, is to kind of help unblock marketing through better communication with the engineering team.
Wow. And I mean, so communication is obviously at the core of everything that you do. We're speaking in English. Your English is absolutely incredible. That's amazing. That's an amazing feat that you are managing to help teams achieve. Probably not even in your mother tongue. There's a huge amount that people can learn from that. So is it a set of questions? I'm not asking about the questions specifically, but in order to be that connector, to remove that tension, that conflict, is there a particular set of skills that you're bringing here? So it's obviously communication, it's obviously empathy, but how do you remove that conflict?
Yeah, I think it's understanding the context. I I consult in marketing technology, but I really don't like the RFP documents, request for proposal, where the marketing team or the product team would just collect the set of requirements for the platform they want, and after that they start shopping for a platform. And I really don't like it because it removes the whole layer of history. It removes all the not a layer, it removes all the history from why the company is at the stage where it is right now and why the problem occurred in the first place. So what I'm trying to understand, the context and the history, what the company is building, in general. Like, what are their privacy rules? What is their vision, like what they're building for users, which technologies they're using, why they're using these technologies, why the company makes a decision to build something internal and not to go with third parties. It's often not a question of a price, but it's a question of things like, privacy and being very, internal oriented and having very strong engineering teams who are capable of building great platforms. And when you just collect a set of requirements and you start shopping around, and you and the engineering team really are proud about building really strong internal platforms, you're basically it, I'm trying to say, you are not kind of creating enemies here, but you're not making friends either. So, and understanding the context, why the company is in a position where it is right now, why their technologies are the way they are right now, I think it's a critical first step to build solid solutions for growth. Yeah.
That's really powerful. Again, so really understanding the problem and then just layering the context around it. So it's a lot of deep thinking in that.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And also, the thing that I really like to do is, one of the leaders with whom I was working, uh, he called it digging up dirt. And basically, what I'm trying to do is create one shared document where I start collecting this context and I start asking questions publicly. So all the leaders and all the engineers and marketeers can contribute to this document, and that's where I try to start establishing connections between the teams. So they are open. They are discussing the problems openly with each other instead of kind of hiding the answers why things work the way they work, if it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, we could go for another hour on that, but I won't. So let's bring this back to Anticipate. So you've launched Anticipate, I mean, this summer. When did it actually go
Um,
live, Sasha?
in in August, the first days of
It's August.
August.
So, okay, so really is
Yeah.
super new. Um, I mean, I trust that things are going well, but what was the thinking behind it? What's the problem that you're trying to solve with this app?
Yeah. Um, Maybe I will connect it a little bit actually with this consulting and, understanding the problem space really well. I think that's where I was playing at my strengths as well with Anticipate. I'll discuss it in just a moment. But first, like why I started Anticipate, I always struggled with anxiety, and I can't even start listing all the opportunities I've missed because of it, because of my negative thinking, because of being very critical to myself, just judgmental to myself, and giving up opportunities I really wanted because I wasn't sure I will be able to handle it. And I always thought that it's what impacts me. Yes, there is a layer that I cannot figure out without a therapist on our weekly sessions. But there are some things that if I know I can manage, because sleep really impacts my how I feel on the other day. Activity really impacts me. Whether I'm going outside of home impacts me. How long I spend on the phone impacts me. And I always thought that, hey, it would be wonderful to see when my patterns start changing, when it's not too late, not when I'm in the spiral already, but when I actually, a couple of days before that, when I see that, I started sleeping really poorly and I haven't left home in 3 days, and I spend 20% more time on phone than before. This isn't good. I have to do something about it. And I had conversations with many other people with different conditions, and I sense that this problem is shared. And the problem with this is to be able to manage your habits and mental health, you need to have an incredible level of self awareness to notice your things yourself. Normally, we can't remember what we had for dinner the night before, and how do we expect to remember how we were sleeping over the last couple of weeks or when we were leaving home? Um, and now it's solved with manual login and mood tracking and journaling, which is amazing. But at the same time, it really relies on motivation. And when your mental health starts spiraling, motivation is the first thing that goes out of window. So, and that's when I thought that, hey, our phones store so much data right now, and there are so many fitness apps out there and the stress trackers out there. So surely we will be able to track the habits on our phone, track the patterns on our phone, and see when these patterns change so we can think how they impact our mental health. And that's why I built Anticipate. So what it does right now, it analyzes your sleep, it analyzes activity, analyzes weather, if you're traveling, triggers and good events that you are incorporating there. And it automatically adds everything to the calendar, calculates the averages, the patterns, and it makes a small silly prediction how you may feel on the day. I say silly because it's still kind of a very also data driven. It's very kind of guess rather than an exact prediction of how the user may feel on the day. But still, it gives you a reflection point so you can see it and you could really understand, you know what, maybe this day will be hard, so I will take it easy. Or maybe I haven't left home in 3 days and was working from home and this was very stressful. So maybe I will take a walk tonight and I will sleep better. And tomorrow I will feel better. That's how
Yeah.
Anticipate was born. And it was quite a journey to get it to this stage. And I was reading lots of research of the scientific teams who were trying to do something similar since 2014. And the problem that they always faced is kind of the retention rate of the product, because the design and kind of product user experience is not their strengths. So I'm trying to bring my expertise to the table to work with them to build something that provides the value and makes users see their trends, but patterns, but at the same time has a delightful user experience that returns users to the product.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, that's what I love about it. It's the simplicity of those different data points being brought into, and that silly little prediction I really like, because in the morning I just have a moment of reflection. I may be tired, I may be motivated, I may be, but it just allows me actually in the moment to just kind of slightly reset.
Mhm.
And you should say, that you've got the calendar stuff. I've been tired for 5 days. I'm probably going to be useless. What am I going to do? Or actually, yes, I might not have slept very well, but I might not have slept very well last night because I was super excited about something that I'm doing today. So I'm feeling motivated. So it's a great way of just taking that moment, which I had been looking for, and as a coach, I am recommending it, and the journaling as well. I'm not terribly organized. As a coach, I preach journaling. I'm not very good at it myself. I write reams and reams of notes, and then I can't even read them again afterwards. So just to be able to just capture a word or two about
Mhm.
my mood or a trigger or something good or bad is an incredibly useful workspace. Okay, so how long have you been? So obviously you've launched this summer. You have looked at the market. You're bringing a whole ton of expertise. Again, it really resonates that you're not only bringing your expertise, but you're solving a problem that you personally have had. And you're obviously trying to help yourself because you realise that there is a market out there. How long have you been working on it?
Yeah, I've been researching it since 2023, so 2.5 years now. And
Okay.
we started building it almost a year ago, a little bit less. And um, it's been um, it's been an interesting year of iterations. I think we had 8 versions of it that completely failed. Tried conversational UI where you're chatting with a chatbot, and the chatbot helps you see the patterns. We quickly realized that this is not a path forward because there is a risk that people will consider this chatbot as some form of therapist. And I don't believe in AI therapy. I don't think that I will ever change my mind. It's not there yet. It's dangerous. It reinforces delusions and what people want to hear. I feel like it's something that we tried, but we decided not to proceed with it due to ethical reasons, and also the effort, because people kept saying to us, you know what, it's just like so much effort to dig information out of the chatbot. I'm not going to do that. And then we had quite a few iterations. We tried to just surface the habits and patterns straight away to the users on the homepage. But again, like for people, it was you know what, it's too hard for me to open it, see all the insights, and try to make sense out of them. It's just too much effort. But what I would really love to have is just if it could tell me like how my day will be so I can prepare for the day. And that's why we went with a very simple kind of prediction of what a day may feel like. And after that, the calendar where users can actually go and see their patterns. So it's been quite a journey. And um, it's also important that when we were starting, how we started, I started reading all the research. I wanted to do mood predictions, like, you know, proper medical predictions. And that's why I started reading all the research on teams that were doing this since 2014. This is, though, not something again, like, this is not something that we decided we will pursue, at least at this stage, because there is a big risk of making the wrong prediction and make the user mirror this prediction that we are making. And for example, a person feels depressed, and we are making the prediction that the user feels depressed, and the user feels even worse because of it. And this is what we would really want to avoid. And this is the reason why we do not claim that we are a medical product or medical mood predictions at all. And we will not be able to do it for a while unless we're able to run proper studies and make sure that this is safe. And this is one of the directions that we've investigated, and we decided that we won't pursue in the beginning. So it was quite a journey to understand like how we can reduce the effort of monitoring yourself, your habits, your mood, how we can reduce the effort whilst at the same time making it incredibly user friendly and incredibly safe.
Yeah. So that is a journey. So those different iterations where you've learned something, um, have they felt like failure? Has it been difficult to be on that journey? I guess if you've started out at the beginning with an idea of what you want to do, and obviously it's probably significantly changed over that journey. Has that been hard?
Yeah, it was, and it still is. I read just yesterday, someone posted on LinkedIn a while ago, but I stumbled upon this post just yesterday, and I loved it so much. It was, uh, it's often that the difference between success and failure is how much pain you are willing to take without giving up. And I feel like it explains our path quite well. Every time we built something and we received critical feedback, it definitely felt like failure. I tried to convert it inside me into curiosity, or right, like what we need to do differently to make it click again and again and again. Even the current version, I'm really glad to hear that you like it, Collette, but I know that there is so much work to be done, and we are receiving very critical feedback as well. And I understand that there is, I don't consider it a full success just yet. It will be a journey before we are able to call it that way. There are things that we want to do privacy wise and safety wise, and things that we want to improve in authentication process, and in kind of how the insights are presented to users. and and it's great that we have the roadmap, but the way we are building this roadmap, it starts with very critical feedback, constructive feedback, but very critical and blunt sometimes, that we need to learn not to take personally and to take
How do you
the
do that?
most out of it. It's it's I actually like I would love to say something, smart, like, I just process it and I feel amazing. It's not the case. So what I'm doing very practical steps. First, I'm working with a therapist weekly, and I am discussing things that I'm going through together with her. Um, Not necessarily the feedback, but how I am reacting to the feedback and how I'm processing the feedback. Um, I'm discussing it with her. The second thing that I'm doing journaling. And every time I have a defensive reaction, what I'm doing is I'm taking a paper and a pen and I'm writing, okay, so here is the situation, here is what I've heard, here is how it made me feel, and here is how I choose to react to this. And it's just a very small reminder to my brain, I'm doing this not because, and I'm asking for this feedback because this is the only way for us to grow, the only way to understand where our solution, current technology, where it falls short and how we can improve. This is the only way. Because of the amount of the critical feedback we've received, we have a roadmap for the next 3 months, which is absolutely amazing. If we build it in a very comfortable, tiny, space and comfort zone, we would be building something for 6 months and we wouldn't realize that we are doing anything wrong. So this feedback, however critical it is a gift. But to remind myself that this is a gift, I have to work with a therapist and I have to do journaling.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. Sasha, I just keep going back to the fact that you're so incredibly brave, that you're putting yourself in the firing line. You're founding something. You are there talking to the customer, gathering these difficult, potential difficult sets of feedback. Actually, then turning that into something brilliant in the roadmap. I keep going back to bravery and insight. The fact that you're so prepared to put yourself on the line there. I just salute you.
Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot.
So, okay, I have we've talked a huge amount about journey and your passion and how you've got here. So, if you had 10-15 minutes with a CEO or a founder, someone who's doing what you're doing, what would you recommend to them? What would you suggest? How would you help them overcome some of the challenges that you have managed to overcome?
Yeah. So the first thing that I would recommend, and I think this goes to tech companies and especially with AI right now, uh, I would recommend them to stay true to themselves and to their vision and to their users as well. I feel right now we start hearing more, we become more reactive to what is happening around us. And we are trying to shape ourselves and our products as a reaction to what is happening in the market. And I actually read a wonderful article on Medium a couple of weeks ago, and there was a startup founder, and he was discussing why his startup failed. And he mentioned that this kind of continuous battle and reaction to what is happening in the market is what killed his startup. He had a vision about facilitating research for the product teams, and you can do it in many ways, right? And not necessarily with AI. So he really wanted to solve this problem. But where he found himself, he was in this constant circle of building something, then seeing some updates to that Open AI released or some of the kind of semi-competitors released. And they kind of had to rethink the whole roadmap over and over again and play this catch up. And what he said in the end, that basically in a year, he completely lost his vision, what he was trying to build in the first place, because of this kind of continuous firefighting and continuous reaction to the external events. So I feel like right now, staying true of the to the problem that you're trying to build is more important than ever and harder than ever. So the first thing that I would say, like, really hold on to the problem that you're trying to solve and do not let it go, because it's very easy to do so. So this is the first thing. The second thing that I'd say is um, I think I didn't realize it when I was working as a consultant or an employee at scale up or even an employee at a startup, how much um, routines and mental health matters when you're building something. This is the first thing. If you are not sleeping, if you are not eating, if you are not exercising, if you are not going out, if you are working 7 days a week without giving yourself time to break, in the beginning, your company is you. There is an equality sign between these two. If you can't kind of if you feel miserable, your company will feel miserable too. It's as simple as that. You cannot be productive. You cannot do good decisions when you're in a threat mode. So you really need to be in your strengths zone. You really need to make your mind comfortable to make good decisions. And I feel like when you're just starting something, in the beginning, it feels like you are entering a race and you have to run as fast as you can, and it's fair enough. But at the same time, like, you really need to think about your mental health and take care of yourself. Like, put on the mask on yourself first, and after that, on the company. So I think this is the second thing that I would tell. And maybe the third thing that I would tell is uh, um, really ask for help as much as possible. I feel like sometimes um, people may feel vulnerable asking for help, especially when you are a founder. I think you need to, it's not you need to, but sometimes you may feel like you need to have this develop this perception, so other people perceive you as very knowledgeable person, a person a person who got it, who will solve everything themselves. But the problem with it is that you are limiting your context, your expertise, just to what you have in your brain, and you are not allowing to see yourself, to see a full picture. And I feel like asking for help is not a weakness, is a superpower. It's a strength, because it allows you to make good decisions, and good decisions will make you go 2 times faster. So, to summarize, staying true to the problem that you're trying to solve. Take care, really good care of your mental health, of your sleep, of your activity, control what you eat, how you go outside. And the third thing is asking for help as much as possible.
Yeah. That's, yeah, very, very wise advice. As you know, sort of written a book about leadership, and probably one of the worst traits are those people that position themselves as they end up in an ivory tower. It's a very isolating position if you position yourself as knowing everything, because none of us can know everything. We need to be surrounded by good support, good expertise. So it's very, very wise. And that's something that obviously you recognised very early on. You did not want to manage people on a day-to-day basis. You are clearly, I would guess, you're a very good leader because you understand what is required. And I know for a fact that you're reaching out and you're getting all of this feedback in a very methodical and professional manner. And I wish you all the success in the world with Anticipate. As I say, I'm a big fan. I love what you're doing, and the story behind today has been absolutely fascinating. Is there a question I should have asked you? Is there anything that you should have said that I didn't ask?
No, I actually think that we've covered so much, and I'm so excited. I felt like it was a very great conversation. Um, maybe what I'd add, I wouldn't add anything. I think it was great.
It was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing everything. It's incredibly raw and honest.
Oh,
It is
thank you.
it just, yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Colette.